Hi, warriors. This is Jaylyn, my legal warrior. Today's segment is about the different types of divorce that you can go ahead and file against the other party. Now, a lot of individuals, at least when I do talk to people that are telling me about their significant other or soon to be ex-spouses, they mention the personality of the other individual constantly, about how the other person is bipolar. They do not listen to any sort of rationale. They're narcissistic, they're controlling, they're abusive, and the list is endless. And so when you have a personality that is very difficult to deal with, and you know that they're not going to change, of course, through the divorce process, if anything, they're going to become more hostile during the divorce process, and you feel that, nope, they're not going to settle at any cost, then that is going to affect the method in which you navigate through a divorce. But I also want to keep in mind that sometimes these personalities that are aggressive or intimidating and just won't stop at any cost to make your life a living hell, they don't, or they may not necessarily have the funds to fund a litigation. They're usually all talk and no game. Or they actually do have the funds for litigation and they're going to outfund you and make sure that you don't have representation at your hearings. And so it's very important to know what type of person your spouse will be during the divorce process. And sometimes it takes a couple of losses for them to kind of take a step back and see that the process is not as easy as they think it is, that they aren't going to get their way the way that they think they will. And so perhaps some litigation might not be a bad route for your particular case, especially when you're dealing with personalities that are exceptionally difficult, like narcissistic personality or bipolar personality. And I'm not saying they're actually been diagnosed with these things, but you believe that the other party has these disorders or behavioral issues that just, has resulted to why you're winning a divorce possibly. So we have to think about what is the best process for ourselves when we think of divorce. And we know that there is 4 different methods to a divorce. There's mediation, which during this quarantine is an amazing approach to get through a divorce, because you don't even really need to wait until the court is open in order for you to start the mediation process and to reach an agreement. I mean, you can reach an agreement at any point, but having a professional help you reach an agreement during this time is very important. And if you can do that, then fantastic. But what's the likelihood of somebody who's not cooperative during your marriage is going to be cooperative during a mediation? If anything, they can use that as a delay tactic. And you're trying to navigate through this process sooner rather than later. And they're telling you, okay, yeah, I'm going to have you go to mediation, and sure, we'll go ahead and split the cost. And they know that they're not going to agree to anything once they go through mediation. Because the mediator, remember, it's not there to give you legal advice. They just educate and inform the parties about what they can or cannot do in a divorce proceeding and what their settlement agreement needs to look like so that they can help you to reach an agreement. I mean, that's their sole purpose. That's what you hired a mediator to do, is to reach an agreement. And whatever you can't reach an agreement on, you're going to go to the courthouse and litigate that, right? So if you're with a personality that's very difficult and they have like a narcissistic tendency, for example, then why would you go through mediation? It's a waste of time. Of course, we're very hopeful that the other party will see the light and they'll settle the case. But for a very difficult personality like that, who's controlling and intimidating, yeah, they're not going to settle. They're going to agree to go to mediation because you're getting what you want, and perhaps it's just a way to, have you be quiet or have you stay in the marriage a little bit longer. So really be on the lookout for what that could look like for you, and whether you want to spend the money on hiring an attorney that's going to mediate a case. Now, the other type of divorce is a self-represented procedure, which is you just represent yourself, right? I mean, it's self-explanatory. You're going to go through the divorce without any representation. You go online and find how to fill out forms and what kind of documents you need to submit to the courthouse and other documents that you need to submit to the other party or to your ex. And again, if they have a difficult personality, they might think that they're better than the system, might not even respond. That's the easiest type of divorce to go through, is one where the other party does not respond. But you really do want the other party to participate in the divorce process. And I'll tell you why. Because when they go through a default, which is when the other party doesn't respond and you just literally get everything that you requested in your petition for a divorce, they can then come at a later time and say, hey, I didn't participate in this divorce, and some parts of it are not equitable, or I don't agree with the spouse support order that he or she proposed to the court and the court went ahead and ordered. So I want to go ahead and set it aside. And now you're back at litigation. Unless you agree to set it aside, it's going to be a litigious matter. So you're going to be litigating that issue and you're back at square one. I mean, most likely the court is not going to undo your divorce, but they will undo the orders associated with your divorce case. So property division, spouse support, child custody, visitation, maybe even some attorney's fees, whatever it might be that's not related to your marital status, the court can undo that because the other party decided not to participate. Another delay tactic. So if you have a narcissistic personality on the other side, or bipolar, or whatever negative behavior you think they have, they might already know that and they're doing what they're doing for a reason. They're not responding for a reason. So you really got to think about that as you're representing yourself and how that could potentially look like. Another type of divorce is collaborative divorce. We've spoken about this before as well, and what you would get is several professionals on your case. You and the other party want to actually settle the case. They don't want to litigate. They do want to come to the negotiation table and try to resolve your divorce as amicably as possible with all professionals on deck. But if you're dealing with a personality where they're, again, difficult, is that the best route? What's the likelihood of them actually wanting to settle this case without causing you a little bit of grief or a lot of grief? Their interests are their own, and perhaps they know that you really want out of this marriage, and so they'll agree to a collaborative divorce and they'll hire their attorney and go there. But between them and the attorney, I want to just go ahead and not actually settle this case. Or maybe they tell the attorney otherwise, and they're just not agreeing to anything because they don't have to reach an agreement. I mean, in collaborative divorces, it's not like there's a judge there making decisions for them. It's all professionals working together to reach an agreement. And that person can just sit back and say, no, I don't agree to this, regardless of how reasonable it is, whether it's the law, even during the sessions where you guys are trying to negotiate your divorce agreement, and they can just say, yeah, I don't really know what I want, or I need to think about that so much more. That's another delay tactic. So I would never recommend collaborative divorce or mediation for individuals that have spouses that are not exactly cooperative, and they just have, if you believe that they have some behavioral issues, like narcissistic personalities or bipolar disorder or things like that. That's going to prevent you really from reaching a settlement. Doesn't matter whose hands are going to be on deck. Doesn't matter what type of attorney you have with you, alongside you. They're just not going to agree. They want to make your life a living hell. They're not going to agree. Litigation is probably your best route. So, and that's the fourth route in proceeding through a divorce process, is in fact litigation. And so sometimes you just have to litigate a couple of issues with the other party so that they can realize that things are not going to happen the way that they think it's going to happen, right? And so with that being said, you certainly want to make sure that you are prepared when you go to court. You know that when you go to court, there's going to be certain things that you're requesting that you know that you're actually going to win on. If the other party just wants to give you grief, and you want to have enough documentation to show the court that they are being uncooperative, they're frustrating settlement, and that actually is going to help you obtain some attorney's fees, a contribution to your matter if you do decide to litigate. So with all that being said, our method when we're dealing with a personality that isn't cooperative is to go through some litigation. You're going to have to be able to stand up to the other party, especially if you guys have children involved, and really just be child-centered and to set some hard boundaries. And if they're refusing to pay you spouse support and they've always been the breadwinner and you're the one at home taking care of the kids, but now that you filed for this divorce, they've upset you, and you're going to just need to take a little bit of a heavy hand with you as you go through this divorce. You might have to lay the hammer, set those boundaries, have my legal warrior be there with you, defending you in any way, shape, or form that she can, and proceed with your divorce in a strategic manner, and to really understand that the personality that I'm dealing with on the opposite end is one that's just going to try and make my client's life a little bit difficult. The best thing that you can do when you are dealing with a difficult personality, is to seek help from a divorce coach, because they're going to help you use the tools or coping skills so that you aren't triggered or manipulated or even intimidated by the other party's actions. They're acting some kind of way, and you're not going to let it get under your skin. You just want to keep it moving. You want to get through this divorce. If it's going to have its highs and lows, it's going to be emotionally draining and mentally draining, but you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and the only way to actually see that light is if you have a divorce coach helping you and leaving the emotions out of it. So that would be our recommendation. When you're dealing with different personality types and all they have in common that they're negative personality types, they're behavioral issues, and they will stop at nothing but to make you unhappy through this divorce process, because they want to continue controlling you and intimidating you and making you feel like you're worthless. Don't go through mediation. Do not go through it on your own. Do not waste your time doing collaborative divorce. Hire an attorney that's going to represent you on a limited scope basis to try and get you some results so that you're able to potentially resolve your matter. And you may not never be able to resolve your matter. You might have to end up going to trial and litigating everything. But at least you have somebody along the way that knows what they're doing from start to finish to get you to that next step, to get you to the end of your divorce, and you're not playing these games with the other party. You're not entertaining them. You're setting deadlines. And there's a whole strategy behind it. You want more information, you talk to a competent attorney that is about getting things done, getting things moving, and it's not about taking the money and just doing things in a way that is beneficial for you. Please share this video with friends, family, wherever your clique is. Share it with your tribe, and we hope that you guys are safe especially our warriors that are subscribed to our channel, actually have something that you would love to hear from us about, let us know. Let us know down below. All right, thank you, warriors, for watching our video, and please share and please stay safe.